I am Madeline, 36 years old, a trauma surgeon in the Army. I just returned home from a 9-month deployment overseas, and I could not wait to see my daughter Lily. I sent $2,000 every month to my parents for her care. But when I got home and asked her about it, she looked confused. What money? My parents went pale. My sister quickly changed the subject. Let me know where you're watching from and make sure to subscribe to hear how I discovered the shocking betrayal hidden beneath my family's picture-perfect holiday facade. The day I left for my deployment was one of the hardest of my life. Watching my 12-year-old daughter Lily try to hold back tears at the airport tore my heart into pieces. As a single mother and a military physician specializing in trauma surgery, I've always had to balance my duty to my country with my responsibilities as a parent. This particular deployment would take me to a conflict zone for 9 months, the longest I'd ever been away from my little girl. I'll call you every day, I promised Lily, hugging her tightly. And I'll send plenty of money for everything you need. My parents, both in their mid-60s and retired, had agreed to take care of Lily during my absence. My older sister Amanda, 42 and unmarried, lived only 20 minutes away from them and promised to help out. I thought this arrangement would give Lily the stability she needed, allowing her to stay in her school and maintain her friendships instead of relocating to an army base with a temporary guardian. The financial arrangement seemed straightforward. I would send $2,000 each month directly to my parents' account to cover Lily's expenses: food, clothing, school supplies, extracurricular activities, medical checkups, and some entertainment. This amount was generous, certainly more than the actual cost of raising her for a month, but I wanted to ensure she had everything she needed and some extras to make up for my absence. It's more than enough, my father had assured me when I told him the amount. Don't worry about a thing. My family wasn't wealthy, but they were comfortable. My father had worked as a high school principal before retiring, and my mother had been an administrative assistant. They lived in the same 4-bedroom house where I grew up in a modest suburban neighborhood. Amanda worked as an office manager for an insurance company, making enough to support herself, but often complaining about financial struggles. Before my deployment, our family relationships had been generally positive, if not particularly close. There were occasional tensions, especially between Amanda and me. She had always shown subtle signs of jealousy over my career success and financial stability. While she struggled with student loans and lived in a small apartment, I had managed to pay off my medical school debt through the military program and owned my home outright. Despite these undercurrents, I trusted my family completely with my daughter's care. Throughout my deployment, I made every effort to stay connected with Lily. I sent care packages filled with local souvenirs and treats. I scheduled video calls around my grueling shifts in the field hospital. I emailed her teachers to track her academic progress. I even arranged for special gifts to be delivered on her birthday and other important occasions. During our calls, Lily seemed okay, though perhaps a bit subdued. She talked about school and friends, but gave few details about her daily life with my parents and Amanda. As Christmas approached and my return date neared, I noticed she seemed less enthusiastic when I mentioned the money I had sent for her winter clothes and holiday celebrations. At the time, I attributed it to teenage mood swings, or perhaps she was just tired during our calls due to the time difference. I couldn't wait for Christmas. After 9 months of seeing my child only through spotty video calls, I would finally hold her in my arms again. I had shipped home gifts I'd collected during my deployment, unique items from the region that I knew she would treasure. I had dreams of a perfect family Christmas, the kind we deserved after such a long separation. Little did I know that the holiday would reveal a betrayal that would shatter my trust and force me to reevaluate every relationship in my life. The airplane touched down with a gentle thud, and my heart leaped. After 9 months in a war zone treating wounded soldiers and civilians, I was finally home. The anticipation of seeing Lily made my hands shake as I grabbed my carry-on bag. 9 months is an eternity in the life of a 12-year-old girl. Would she look different? Would she still want those long hugs she used to give me? As I walked through the airport terminal scanning the crowd for familiar faces, I spotted them near the baggage claim area. My father, his hair grayer than I remembered, stood tall with his arm around my mother. Amanda was there too, checking her phone. And then I saw her, my Lily, hanging back slightly behind my parents. Something was off. Lily looked thinner than I remembered, her jacket a bit too small at the wrists. She wasn't wearing the new winter coat I had specifically sent money for last month. Her hair wasn't in the neat style she had been so proud of in our recent video calls. But most noticeably, she wasn't holding the new phone I had transferred extra money for 3 months ago, a promised gift for maintaining her good grades. "Mom!" Lily broke into a run when she saw me, and all my analytical observations dissolved as I wrapped my arms around her. She still smelled like strawberry shampoo, still fit perfectly against my shoulder despite having grown an inch or two. "I missed you so much, sweetheart," I whispered, fighting back tears. The family reunion was emotional, with hugs all around. My mother wiped tears from her eyes, and my father gave me a firm embrace. Amanda hugged me quickly, her new designer watch catching the fluorescent airport lights. I made a mental note of it, not thinking much of it at that moment. In the car ride home, I peppered Lily with questions about school, her friends, and the activities I'd been funding. "How was the piano recital last month? I'm so sorry I couldn't watch it online," I said, remembering the extra $300 I'd sent for the new dress she wanted to wear for the performance. Lily glanced at Amanda, who was driving, then back at me. "Oh, it was okay. Not a big deal." "And how do you like the new phone? Is it working well for you?" I asked, noticing she was still using what looked like my parents' old tablet for her games. Before Lily could answer, Amanda jumped in. "Oh, we've been limiting screen time. Right, Lily, studies show it's better for developing brains." My mother quickly changed the subject to Christmas dinner plans, and my father launched into a story about the neighbors' holiday decorations. The conversation shifted so smoothly that I almost missed the fact that my question had been completely avoided. When we arrived at my parents' house, I noticed the Christmas decorations were minimal, nothing like the elaborate display I'd sent money for, explaining to my mother that I wanted Lily to have a magical Christmas to make up for my absence. There were no gifts under the small tree, though I had specifically asked them to purchase several items on Lily's wish list and had transferred the money for them. Lily took me to see her room, which was largely unchanged since my departure. The new bedding set we had picked out together online was nowhere to be seen. The desk area lacked the art supplies I'd sent money for. The bookshelf had a few new titles, but nothing close to what could have been purchased with the funds I'd provided. Something was definitely wrong, but I didn't want to jump to conclusions or start an argument my first night home. Perhaps there were reasonable explanations. Maybe the gifts were hidden. Maybe the piano recital had been rescheduled. Maybe they were being financially cautious for good reasons. I hugged Lily again, savoring her presence, and decided to observe more before asking the difficult questions that were beginning to form in my mind. That night we had a family dinner that my mother had prepared. The meal was lovely but simple, not the grand welcome feast she had promised in our last conversation before my return. Throughout the dinner, I noticed several things that increased my sense of unease. My father avoided making eye contact with me whenever I mentioned anything I had sent money for. My mother kept steering the conversation toward Amanda's new job promotion. Amanda herself seemed to be showcasing a level of affluence I hadn't seen before, with a designer purse casually slung over a chair and references to her recent weekend trips to nearby cities. "That's a beautiful watch, Amanda," I commented, noticing the luxury brand that I knew was well beyond her usual budget. "Thanks," she replied with a tight smile. "Just a little something I treated myself to. Worked some overtime." After dinner, while Amanda and my parents cleared the table, I took the opportunity to speak with Lily alone in the living room. I wanted to hear about her experiences without the constant interruptions from the adults. "How has it really been, sweetheart? I want to know everything," I said, sitting close to her on the couch. Lily seemed hesitant at first, but gradually opened up. She told me about school, her friends, and the books she'd been reading. Then I asked more specific questions. "How was the science club you joined? Did you get to do the robotics competition?" Lily looked confused. "What science club?" I asked Grandpa about it. but he said we couldn't afford the registration fees. My heart sank. I had sent $500 specifically for that program, excited that Lily had shown interest in robotics. And what about your dental checkup last month? Did Dr. Wilson say everything looked good? I haven't been to the dentist since you left, Mom, Lily replied. Grandma said we'd go after the holidays. Another red flag. I had sent money for regular dental checkups, considering them non-negotiable aspects of Lily's healthcare. Did you have a nice birthday party? Did your friends like the cupcakes from that bakery you love? Lily shrugged. We didn't really have a party, just a small cake with Grandma, Grandpa, and Aunt Amanda. This was perhaps the most upsetting revelation. I had transferred an extra $500 for Lily's birthday celebration, specifically discussing with my mother how important it was for Lily to feel special and celebrated despite my absence. Lily continued unwittingly confirming my growing suspicions. I got some hand-me-downs from Mrs. Peterson next door. Her daughter Emma outgrew a bunch of clothes. Grandma said you weren't sending enough money for new clothes, but the ones from Emma are pretty nice. I felt a chill run through me. Not sending enough money, I had been transferring $2,000 every month, more than enough for Lily's needs, and then some. Where had all that money gone? Later that evening, I went looking for some pain relievers for a headache. In the kitchen drawer where my mother kept medications, I stumbled upon a folded paper that caught my attention. It was a receipt for a down payment on a new car in Amanda's name, dated just 2 months earlier. The amount was substantial, close to what I had sent for Lily during that period. The pieces were starting to fall into place, painting a picture I didn't want to see but could no longer ignore. My family appeared to be using the money I sent for Lily for their own purposes. The new watch, the designer purse, the car payment, the weekend trips, perhaps even home renovations I had noticed, all while my daughter wore hand-me-downs and missed out on activities and proper care. I closed the drawer quietly, my headache now pounding in rhythm with my heartbeat. I needed more information before confrontation. I needed to be strategic for Lily's sake. Christmas morning arrived with a tense anticipation that only I seemed to feel. I had placed the gifts I brought from overseas under the tree wrapped in colorful paper I purchased at the airport. Lily woke up excited despite being 12 and reaching the age where Christmas magic begins to fade. As she opened my presents, her genuine joy at receiving a hand-carved wooden box, a traditional embroidered scarf, and a book of local folk tales from the region where I had been stationed touched my heart. These weren't expensive gifts, but they were thoughtful and unique. Her reaction made it clear that she valued the sentiment behind them more than their monetary worth. After all the presents had been opened, including some modest gifts from my parents and Amanda, I decided it was time. With everyone gathered in the living room, still in pajamas and sipping hot chocolate, I casually posed the question that had been burning in my mind. Lily, sweetheart, I've been wondering, was the $2,000 I sent each month enough for everything you needed? I could have sent more if you needed it. The room went still. Lily looked at me with genuine confusion in her eyes. What money? She asked innocently. You sent money. I watched as my father's face drained of color. My mother suddenly became intensely interested in adjusting the cushions on her armchair. Amanda quickly jumped in. Hey, who wants more pancakes? I think we have some batter left, she said with forced cheerfulness, starting to rise from her seat. No one wants pancakes right now, Amanda, I said firmly, keeping my voice even. I'd like to understand what's happening here. I sent $2,000 every month specifically for Lily's care. My mother let out a nervous laugh. Of course we used it for Lily, dear. Children are expensive, you know. Lily looked back and forth between us adults, clearly sensing the tension, but not understanding its source. Did I do something wrong? She asked in a small voice. No, sweetheart. You did nothing wrong, I assured her. Could you do me a favor and go try on the scarf with your new sweater? I want to see how they look together. Once Lily had left the room, I turned to my family. I need to speak with all of you privately. Now. We moved to the kitchen, closing the door behind us. I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. I have records of every transfer I made to your account, I said to my father. 9 months, $2,000 each month. That's $18,000 total. Based on what I've seen and what Lily has told me, very little of that money was actually spent on her. Now wait just a minute, my father started, his face flushed. We fed her, clothed her, gave her a roof over her head, with hand-me-downs from the neighbors, no new clothes, no science club, no piano lessons, no dental checkups, no birthday party. I listed off, keeping my voice low but intense. Meanwhile, Amanda has a new watch that costs at least $1,000, a designer purse, and apparently a new car. Amanda's face hardened. Don't you dare accuse me. I work hard for what I have. Then explain this, I said, pulling out the car payment receipt I had found. This down payment is almost exactly what I sent for Lily in October and November combined. My mother started to cry quietly. My father put his arm around her but looked defeated. We didn't think it would hurt to use some of the money for other things, he finally admitted. The amount you sent was so generous. Lily didn't need all of it. That wasn't your decision to make, I replied, fighting to keep my composure. And it clearly went far beyond some of the money. Amanda finally broke her defensiveness, crumbling. It was my idea. Okay, I convinced them. You've always had it so easy, Madeline. The successful doctor, the perfect mother. Meanwhile, I'm drowning in debt, driving a car that breaks down every other week. Is it so wrong that we took a little for ourselves? We were taking care of your kid, after all. A little, I repeated in disbelief. You spent thousands of dollars that were meant for my daughter. You told her I wasn't sending enough money. You made her miss out on activities she was excited about. You neglected her dental care. You denied her a proper birthday celebration. The betrayal cut deep, not just the financial aspect, but the emotional manipulation. They had effectively stolen from my child while making her believe her mother wasn't providing adequately for her. I think we're done here, I said, my decision already forming in my mind. Lily and I won't be staying until New Year's as planned. We'll be leaving tomorrow. After the confrontation, I needed time alone to think clearly. I told Lily I had some calls to make and went for a drive, parking at a quiet spot overlooking the town. The betrayal felt like a physical weight on my chest. These were the people I had trusted most in the world, the people I had entrusted with my most precious gift, my daughter. I called my friend Sarah, who happened to be a family attorney, and explained the situation. They've essentially committed fraud, she told me. You have a clear paper trail of the transfers, and it was explicitly for Lily's care. You could pursue legal action if you wanted to. The thought of taking my own parents and sister to court made me feel ill, but I needed to stand firm. This wasn't just about money. It was about trust, respect, and my daughter's well-being. I made several decisions during that drive. First, Lily would never again be left in their care. Second, I would demand at least partial repayment of the misused funds. Third, I would be completely honest with Lily in an age-appropriate way about why we were leaving early and why our relationship with her grandparents and aunt would be changing. When I returned to the house, I asked for another private conversation with my parents and Amanda. This time, my approach was calm and businesslike. Here's what's going to happen, I began. I'm requesting that you return 50% of the money that was meant for Lily's care. That's $9,000. I believe that's more than fair considering you did provide basic necessities. My father nodded slowly, looking ashamed. We can manage that, though it might take some time. We've spent most of it. I'm not paying anything back, Amanda interjected defiantly. I didn't sign any contract. I turned to her. The car you bought with my money says otherwise. If you don't want to sell it to repay your share, I'm prepared to take legal action. Sarah Davis has already advised me on how to proceed. The mention of my lawyer friend seemed to shake Amanda's confidence. She knew Sarah's reputation as a formidable attorney. You wouldn't sue your own family, she said, but her voice lacked conviction. I didn't think my own family would steal from my child either, yet here we are, I replied evenly. I'm giving you the opportunity to make this right without courts involved. I suggest you take it. I then outlined the practical arrangements. Lily and I would stay at a hotel until our flight back home the following evening. I had already made the reservations. I would use my leave time to get Lily settled back at our home and arrange for trustworthy childcare before returning to my regular duties at the military hospital stateside. "What are you going to tell Lily?" my mother asked, tears streaming down her face. "A version of the truth," I answered. "That there was a misunderstanding about the money I sent, and that I think it's best if we have some space from each other for a while. I won't villainize you to her, but I won't lie either." With that, I went upstairs to help Lily pack her things. I explained that we needed to head home early to get ready for her return to school. She was disappointed but didn't protest too much, perhaps sensing the undercurrent of tension in the house. As we packed, I took inventory of her belongings, noting what needed to be replaced. The task helped focus my mind away from the hurt and betrayal, channeling my energy into practical next steps instead. Before bed, I wrote emails to my commanding officer requesting an extension of my leave, and to Lily's school explaining our early return. I also contacted a real estate agent about short-term rentals near the military hospital where I would be stationed. Every practical step I took helped me feel more in control of a situation that had spiraled beyond my worst expectations. The aftermath of our abrupt departure from my parents' home rippled through the extended family. Word spread quickly and relatives took sides. Some cousins called to express their shock at my parents' and Amanda's actions. Others thought I was overreacting and should forgive them for the sake of family harmony. My parents made good on their promise to repay their portion, transferring $3,000 immediately and setting up a payment plan for the remainder. They sent tearful apologies by text and email, which I acknowledged but did not respond to emotionally. I needed time to process my feelings before any meaningful reconciliation could occur. Amanda was a different story. She initially refused to cooperate, sending angry messages accusing me of being entitled and inflexible. It wasn't until I had Sarah send a formal letter outlining potential legal action that she agreed to sell her new car and repay her share of the money. Even then, she maintained that I was overreacting and damaging the family unnecessarily. "You always have to be perfect, don't you?" she wrote in one particularly bitter email. "Some of us weren't lucky enough to have the military pay for our education. Some of us are struggling. But you wouldn't understand that from your high horse." I didn't respond to these provocations. There was a grain of truth in her words, I suppose. I had been fortunate in many ways. But that didn't justify what they had done, using my child as a pawn in their financial schemes and lying to both of us in the process. Finding suitable housing was my next challenge. I secured a 2-bedroom apartment near the hospital with a 6-month lease, furnished it quickly with essentials, and enrolled Lily in the local middle school. My commanding officer was understanding about my situation and arranged for me to be assigned to the hospital full-time rather than deploying again in the near future. For Lily, the transition was difficult, but not as traumatic as I had feared. She missed her grandparents and aunt, but adapted quickly to being back home with me. I arranged for a trusted colleague's college-age daughter to stay with her after school until I got home from my shifts. We established new routines, and I made sure to be fully present during our time together. As promised, I explained the situation to Lily in terms she could understand. "Grandma, Grandpa, and Aunt Amanda made some bad decisions with the money I sent for your care," I told her. "They used it for themselves instead of for you. That's why you didn't get to join the science club or have the birthday party we planned." "Were they stealing?" Lily asked, her brow furrowed with the seriousness of a child trying to understand adult complexities. "They were using money in a way I didn't agree to," I replied carefully. "It was wrong, and they know that now. We need some time away from them while we figure things out." Lily nodded, processing this information. "Is that why you seemed sad on Christmas?" "Yes, sweetheart. I was disappointed and hurt by their choices. But I want you to know that none of this is your fault, and it doesn't mean they don't love you." Through all of this, I leaned heavily on a small circle of close friends who provided emotional support, practical help with Lily, and perspective when my anger threatened to overwhelm me. My friend Rachel, a psychologist, suggested that both Lily and I might benefit from some counseling sessions to process the experience advice that I took seriously. The healing process wasn't linear. There were days when I felt at peace with my decision to create distance from my family, and other days when I questioned whether I had been too harsh. The first time Lily asked when we would visit her grandparents again, I had to step into the bathroom to compose myself before answering that we would see them again when the time was right. As difficult as this period was, it also brought unexpected blessings. The bond between Lily and me deepened as we navigated our new reality together. Without the buffer of other caregivers, we developed new ways of communicating and supporting each other. I saw sides of my daughter's personality that had been less visible before, her resilience and emotional intelligence shining through in ways that made my heart swell with pride. 6 months after our Christmas revelation, Lily and I had established a new normal. Our apartment, initially just a necessary arrangement, had become a true home. I had personalized it with photos, comfortable furniture, and plants that we tended together. Lily had painted her room a soft teal color and decorated it with string lights and posters of her favorite bands and scientists. My career had taken a new direction too. I had requested a permanent position at the military hospital, trading the intensity and additional pay of deployments for stability and presence in my daughter's life. The decision felt right, aligning my professional choices with my personal values in a way that brought me unexpected peace. Lily was thriving in her new school. She had joined the robotics club I had originally wanted to enroll her in and made several close friends. Her grades were excellent, and her teachers commented on her enthusiasm and creativity. The shadow that had seemed to hang over her during our Christmas visit had lifted completely. As for our family relationships, healing was happening, but slowly and with clear boundaries. After 3 months of very limited contact, I had allowed my parents to video call with Lily once a month. These calls were supervised and kept positive, focusing on Lily's activities and interests, rather than the past conflict. My father and mother had continued to repay the money as promised, and had sent thoughtful, modest gifts for Lily's birthday that showed they were respecting our new boundaries. Amanda remained distant. She had eventually sold her car to repay her portion of the money, but our relationship remained strained. She declined to participate in the video calls with Lily and sent only a brief text message for her birthday. I had made peace with the possibility that our relationship might never fully recover, prioritizing my daughter's well-being and my own mental health over forced reconciliation. The counseling sessions that Rachel had recommended had been invaluable for both Lily and me. My therapist helped me work through the complex emotions of being betrayed by family, while Lily's counselor provided her with tools to process the changes in her life and build healthy relationships. One evening, as Lily and I sat on our small balcony watching the sunset, she asked a question that caught me off guard. "Mom, are you still mad at Grandma and Grandpa and Aunt Amanda?" I considered my answer carefully. I'm not mad anymore, but I'm still sad about what happened. Trust is like a vase, sweetheart. Once it's broken, you can glue it back together, but you'll always see the cracks. I'm trying to rebuild trust with them, but it takes time. Lily nodded thoughtfully. I get that. It's like when Zoe told everyone my secret at school. We're friends again, but I don't tell her my biggest secrets anymore. Her simple analogy made me smile. That's exactly right. And it's okay to be careful with your trust after someone breaks it. That's not being unforgiving, that's being wise. As we sat there in comfortable silence, I reflected on the journey of the past year. The pain of betrayal had been intense, but it had led to growth and clarity that might not have come otherwise. I had learned to set firmer boundaries, to trust my instincts, and to model for my daughter what self-respect looks like in practice. The experience had taught me that sometimes the healthiest form of love is one that includes boundaries. That forgiveness doesn't necessarily mean allowing people the opportunity to hurt you again. That being a good parent sometimes means making difficult choices that prioritize your child's well-being over family harmony. Most importantly, I had learned that healing doesn't require forgetting. The memories of what happened would always be there, but they no longer had the power to control my emotions or decisions. I had reclaimed my agency and in doing so, shown Lily what resilience looks like. "You know what, Mom," Lily said, breaking the silence. "I'm glad we're here, just you and me. It feels right." I put my arm around her shoulders and pulled her close. "I'm glad too, sweetheart. Sometimes the hardest choices lead us exactly where we need to be. If you've ever had to choose between loyalty to family and doing what's right for yourself and your children, I'd love to hear your story in the comments. How did you navigate that difficult decision? Remember to like this video if it resonated with you and subscribe for more real-life stories about finding strength in challenging situations. Thank you for listening, and remember that setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's an act of self-respect that teaches our children to value themselves too.